What's going on, everybody? Kyle here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the 11 apps that I use to run my real estate business on my phone. I am literally on these apps probably every day, but definitely every week. These are basically the 11 apps that I use all the time. I use many more apps, and I'll kind of share my phone screen with you guys, so you'll be able to see all of the apps that I've literally got downloaded on my phone. But today I'm going to cover the 11 apps that I use most often, and I'm actually going to go and open them up and kind of share with you how I also use them. I think there's a ton of videos out there, ton of blog posts out there of real estate agents kind of sharing with you guys, the apps that they use, but not really actually going into detail and showing you how they use them and some of the, the fine details about it. So I think that's actually where most of the importance comes. And so I'm going to be sharing with that with you guys today, but super excited to be here and start sharing this with you. I did just post my income summary for January. It's been an amazing start to 2020. If you guys have not already followed along, definitely go check out my blog over at kylehandy.com. And you can follow along all my different blog posts, my income posts as well. And so you can kind of see how the year is going. And one of the other things that I just want to announce, if you want to be a part of this, is I'm actually going to be starting up a group where if you plan to keep track of your finances, both business and personal, we're going to have a little private group where we're going to have some accountability, talk through things, see where each other are at. And it doesn't matter if you're just starting out, you don't have a whole lot of finances, or if you've been in the business a long time and have a ton of finances. We're going to hopefully kind of shed some light on that side of the business. Because again, if anybody doesn't know my story already, I've been in the business for 11 years now, and I've done just about everything that you can imagine in the residential real estate industry. All the way from doing new home sales to running a real estate brokerage, running a real estate sales team, having a property management company, doing just about everything. Of course, selling real estate. But there has definitely been some learning lessons that I've made over those 11 years. And a lot of it comes back to not tracking my finances close enough and not really running my business based off of that. And so I think it's super important. So if that's something that you want to be a part of, definitely put it in the comments or send me a message on any social media channel and let me know. And I'll make sure that when that group forms, you get added to it. So, but that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into the actual video and talk about the 11 apps that I recommend for 2020. So that being said, let me go ahead. I've got a little slide deck here. We got the 11 best realtor apps in 2020 and how to use them. So follow along. Got it should only take the better part of maybe 20 to 30 minutes to go through these, but I definitely want to have enough time to actually show you them as well. So the first app we're going to talk about today is one of my favorite. It's Calendly. I don't know how many of you guys out there use Calendly. If you're already using it, make sure to put it in the comments below. Let me know if you like Calendly, if you're not using it yet. But this has been a complete game changer for my real estate business. I can't tell you how much time that I used to spend back and forth with clients trying to sync up on their calendar versus my calendar for showings, for listing appointments. You name it. I was just always constantly having to manage my calendar. And eventually I had an assistant and all of that was great, until I realized how expensive all of my overhead had gotten. And I decided I was going to go back to being an individual agent again. I had to get more efficient with my systems, and Calendly was a huge part of that, as far as allowing me to basically send out a link to my clients and then have them book the time that worked on their schedule, but also worked on my schedule. So basically, if for those of you that don't know, and I'll get into the app here in just a second, how Calendly works, it basically is an app. It's also on your computer. You can go to calendly.com and you sign up for an account through Calendly. You hook it up to whatever calendar program that you use, whether it's Google Calendars or Outlook or whatever it is that you might use. They're integrated with just about every calendar scheduling tool that I know of. And then as long as you're keeping track and you're keeping your calendar organized and you're putting in the events that you have going on throughout the day and throughout the week, Calendly, whenever you send a link out to somebody, it will know all of those events already. So then when it proposes the different times, they'll be able to go on and see an actual calendar. They'll see what times you're available, and they'll only be able to select the times that you have allotted. And you can put all sorts of different criteria in there. For instance, you got to have so much time before they can make an appointment. Like I know in my calendar, there's a minimum of a 4-hour notice before anybody can book any type of event, just because I don't want somebody to book something 30 minutes out and me have to rush or not know about it and miss it. So there's a 4-hour notice. You could put 24-hour notice. You can put whatever criteria you want in there. I also have to make sure that each event, there's not something an hour prior or an hour after, just to allow me for drive time. Like if it's a listing appointment or a buyer consultation or whatever it might be, I've got different events set up for that. Anyways, there's all sorts of different ways you can schedule it. I want to show you kind of what it looks like on your phone, because again, we're talking about apps here. I actually use a lot more on the desktop to kind of like set it up. So when you're first setting this up, you'll probably be on calendly.com. But as far as having the app on your phone, there is actually some helpful tools related to it. I'm going to show you guys those here right now. So real quick, let me see if this works. Perfect. I've got my screen here. So you can see here's some of my apps, and like I said, I'm just going to literally share my screen so you can see everything that I use on here. But we'll go over here to business. We'll go to Calendly. All right, so now you can see here that literally I've got 2 event types. I've got a few more that are on there as well, but they're just hidden right now. But these 2, I wanted to show how they kind of work. And so basically, this is my app on my phone. I can copy any of these links right here straight away and just send it over to my client, so that way they can take a look and book something. So for instance, let's just say they wanted to set up a Zoom call with me. This is what it's going to look like. They can come in here and they can see, okay, well, Kyle's next day that he's available is on the 25th. Let me click that. He's only available at 7 o'clock that night. All right, maybe that doesn't work for me. Let me go to the 26th, see what he's got. Oh, perfect. He's got a lot more times, and then they can just straight away book it. And this is just a Zoom call, but you can make this whatever you want. You could make this, again, I use buyer consultation as one. So if it's a client, they reach out to me, I say, yeah, that's great. Let's set up a buyer consultation. I'm going to send you my link and you book whatever time works for you. I'll have a link for buyer consultation. It'll basically say, instead of Zoom call with Kyle, it's going to tell them a little bit of details about what to expect at the buyer consultation. It usually says in there that it lasts for about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on questions. And then it just lets them book a time. And so that's one. I've got one in there for a listing appointment that typically is set for an hour, because it takes me a little bit longer to do a listing appointment. And then I've got ones that I do for showing tours. And so I've got different events set up. One is for a 1 home showing tour. I've got one that's for a 2 to 3 home showing tour. And I've got one that's for a 3 to 6 home showing tour. And basically the difference with those is, instead of having one event that just says showing tour, I need to know like how many homes that person's going to want to see, because that's going to dictate how long that event's going to take. So a 1 home showing tour will typically take 30 minutes. A 2 to 3 home showing tour, I'll block off an hour. And then a 3 to 5 home showing tour, or 4 to 6 home showing tour, is a 2-hour block on my schedule. And that's pretty much it. I don't have anything beyond that. If somebody needs to see more homes than that, usually it's kind of a customized situation, and I'll be, coordinating that manually. But if it's like 1 to 5, 6 homes, which is most typical, I just send them the applicable link. They set it up on my calendar of whatever works for them. I see exactly, they book this time. And then I go in, I set up my showings on that property, and I just send them whichever home we're going to meet at first and say, hey, we're going to meet here at this time that you set up. Boom, we're good to go. And what's really cool too is it allows clients to be able to reschedule very easily as well. So like sometimes you'll get a text message or whatever, and they say, oh, I need to reschedule. Hey, no problem. Just go back into the link that it emailed you when it confirmed with you, because it'll auto confirmation with them, and they can go in and reschedule or cancel if they need. So again, takes that all out of my hands. I don't have to say, well, this time work, does this time work? And it's really kind of something that my clients have appreciated, because then they know too that, if we're going to go do multiple showings on different days, and they want to set up another tour, they don't even have to call me up. They just literally book another tour with me, another, few home tour or whatever. So it's been very nice. I think clients like kind of the techie side of it, at least the ones that I work with. If you're working with somebody that they're maybe not as technologically savvy, even though this is a super simple system, they just literally click on the link and they get your calendar. It doesn't get much easier than that. But if you get somebody that doesn't like that, then hey, you can still do it the old way. But I just find that this is a helpful way to, show your clients that you've taken that next step. You seem a bit more professional, and it kind of puts it into their hands. And it's just one extra touch point to kind of stand out above the rest. So let's go ahead and go back into our second app here, which is RPR. So how many of you guys like RPR, Realtors Property Resource? I love it, especially on my mobile app. It makes doing, quick CMAs, if you're out in the field, super simple, because, we all get the questions, hey, what is this property worth, right? When you're out and about. And, and there's no possible way a real estate agent can know all of the values all the time, right? And so RPR though, and I'm very upfront with my clients, hey, let's take a look. I'm happy to go back and do a full CMA, but to answer your question, let's take a look and see what RPR is. And I kind of share with them RPR is, an automated valuation. Sometimes they're pretty close, sometimes they're far off, but to have that power at your hand is very helpful. Plus, it's basically the app that I use whenever I'm going around showing properties. And so, just to basically give them facts on the properties. I'll print out the listings and whatnot to have them as a hard copy in case maybe I'm in an area with bad cell reception or just, whatever. But I also have RPR loaded up on my phone, and I can quickly and easily just use that map dialog to be able to, depending on what house I'm walking into, pull it right up and have all the details in front of me. So I'm going to show you real quick what our RPR looks like. So let's go ahead and go into RPR. There you go. Yep, there we go. Log in. Close that. Oh, they must have done an update. I'll do that later. Okay, so you can see here's what RPR looks like if you've never opened it up, and you should be able to have access to Realtors Property Resource if you are a realtor. If you're just a real estate agent, you don't pay the extra dues and whatnot to be a realtor. I don't believe that it's included. You might be able to sign up as an additional, but if you are a realtor, this should come with your subscription. And so all you would need to do, I think, is just put in your NRDS number. If you go to NARPR.com, that is the website you go to get access to RPR. But basically, once you have it, all you need to do is, like, for one, so this is the mapping feature I was talking about. So like right now, here's where I'm at. I can click on that and see exactly the homes that are in this area. But let's just say, I wanted to find a home let's go to, I'm trying to think of a listing here, Cloudy Creek. Okay, say search. Oh, no searches on, no homes on Cloudy Creek. Okay, well, let's just go to my listings then. All right, we'll pull this one up here. Sale pending. Let's go to a different one. I want to find one that's not sale pending. Here we go. First sale. So you can see, so here's 1804 Winding View. It gives you basically, asking price. The RVM is the kind of anticipated price, like what it should be worth. Now, of course, depending on what options and features and certain intangibles that property might have, it could go from one way to one price to another, pretty far off. But if it's like a typical home in kind of an average priced neighborhood, it's not like super expensive neighborhood, it's not on a ton of land, if it's just like a regular old home inside of a neighborhood, you're going to be pretty close to accurate most of the time. This one, I'm surprised it's actually as accurate as it is. But it says basically 5-star confidence. That's as high as you're going to get most of the times. And, and for something, this is about double our average price point here in San Antonio. So I'm surprised that it's actually 5 stars. But I would say that RVM is probably pretty close. I know some specifics about this home, which is kind of why we've priced it how we have. But for the most part, that gets you into the ballpark. And again, when you're walking through the home, this is what I like to also have, is not just the values, but I actually use this to kind of go through, and see details on the homes. I can get nearby comps. So literally, if I just click on the get nearby comps now, I can actually have a discussion with my client out at the property about the comps in the neighborhood. I can switch it over to either, you see up at the top where it says list view or map view. So here's your map view. I can kind of zoom in, see the different ones. If you look at like the blue squares are for sale. The green circles are solds. So you can actually show them some sold comps in the area. So again, all of this is available in the field. If you have an iPad, it's even better because of course you can pull this up on a bigger screen and kind of show them, but I'll even do it on my phone and most people are fine to see it. But you got everything that you would need in here. You also got the actual like home facts, like when it was sold last and all that kind of stuff, because you're going to get people that will ask you like, well, how much did it sell for originally, right? And you can pull up all that in the prior sales transactions. You can see the listing history. So like if they've dropped prices, all that good stuff. You can see taxes, anything you might need. Even the schools are going to be there with the great school ratings on there. So a lot of times people will be asking about school districts. So this app literally has everything you can imagine. It tells about even the mortgages on the property, assessed values there for taxes. So it gives you everything you need for the actual property plus the valuation. This app is, like I say, my go-to. I know a lot of times, maybe if you're a real estate agent, you're opening up realtor.com or you're opening up Zillow or whatever, which is fine. But at the same point, you're not going to get all of the notes that you're going to be able to get from on here. So cool. So anyways, that is RPR. That's app number 2. Moving right along, let's go ahead and talk about app number 3, which is, this one will go a lot faster, but it's an essential, something that you have to have, or at least I do. I use the app called TurboScan. TurboScan is awesome. I'm going to show you what it basically does. So if you don't know what it does, it basically puts a scanner on your phone. So anywhere you're at, like I don't even own a scanner anymore because I just use TurboScan. Even if it's like 20 pages, I probably still only use TurboScan. Like I probably should have a scanner for that instance, but I don't. All I do is I'll show you what TurboScan looks like. Basically here, there we go. Open up TurboScan. And you can see here that all I would do is click the little take a picture icon on the left. There we go. Too close. All right. There we go. It's going to take it. Doesn't matter what angle I'm at. There we go. Now I've got a perfect scan. I can send this off to somebody. If I say next, I hit that little bottom left icon, which is the sharing icon. I can open the PDF in whatever I want to open it up in, or I can just straight away email it to somebody. What I end up liking to do is I open that PDF in Docusign. So let me show you here. Say more. There we go. Copy to Docusign there, where you see right down there, and I can get a doc signed out in the field. I don't have to wait for a scanner. I don't have to wait to manually bring this to somebody. Literally, I can be anywhere, scan the document, get it signed, get it to the title company, get it to my transaction manager, whatever I need, using TurboScan and Docusign combined. And the cool thing too is you can also click the button here. Let me click done here on the bottom right there, which is basically taking it from your pictures. So like if you got sent a document, maybe like I'll tell my clients, hey, don't worry about scanning that seller's disclosure, just take a picture of it and text it to me. So when they do that, they text me a picture of it. I have it into my phone pictures here. Right? And then I can select it. So let's just say, here we go. Let me find, I don't know if I have a document that somebody has sent to me recently. Let's just I'll make sure it's not super sensitive. That's my only biggest thing. No, this is fine. Plumbing test, right? So there we go. So somebody sends that to me. Now, boom, it already automatically frames it up, puts it in there, and I can have now a PDF version of something. I can get it signed. I can do whatever I need with it. So TurboScan is a must in my opinion. So definitely look more into TurboScan if you're not already using that. So, all right, the next one we're going to talk about is Zillow Mortgage. So I don't use Zillow for nearly anything, but not for good or bad, but basically I just don't use the Zillow app very often. I don't do any of the advertising on there. I do, of course, list my properties, they're on Zillow. But as far as apps go, this is the only app that I use of them, and I like it because it's an amazing mortgage calculator. It's not the only one, but it's one of the few that will actually calculate their mortgage interest. Like if they, if they have PMI or private mortgage insurance or anything like that, it's going to calculate that automatically and share that. And so, because a lot of times buyers don't realize that, they've got principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and then potentially, PMI as well. And so Zillow actually will put that in there for you. So let me show you what that looks like. If I go in and go to Zillow Mortgage, there we go. All right, and I use their payment calculator here. All right, so then it gives me a price. So let's just say my clients are looking at a $300,000 home, and the down payment is, let's go ahead and say they're going to put 5% down. All right, and the interest rate is already kind of populated by Zillow based on what they're seeing in the market, but you may know that your client has a different rate. Like, let's just say that you've talked to your client, they've got a 4.125 interest rate. Then if you hit the advanced button there, you can see that there is a spot where you can put property taxes, insurance, HOA dues, and there's a little toggle for mortgage insurance. So of course you want to toggle that on, right? And it kind of basically calculates it for you. I'm going to put, the mortgage term here for 30 years. You can put HOA dues in there if you want. I usually don't. But as far as property taxes, you can go in, you can either assign it a dollar value or a percentage, right? So, typically I'll know what the dollar amount is. Like, let's just say for a $300,000 home, that's probably about, let's just say $7,000 here in Texas. Homeowners insurance on that home, let's just go ahead and say it's going to be $950. All right, it's probably a little bit more than that, but either way, at least I got some kind of a number here, and then I can show them, hey, look at, my calculator, your payment based on this scenario is $2,200.24 a month, $1,381 is your principal and interest, $583 is your property taxes, $79 is your homeowner's insurance monthly, and then $181 is going towards mortgage insurance. Well, a lot of times what they like to do is compare. Well, what would it be, if I didn't have mortgage insurance, if I wanted to put 20% down, right? Well, you can do that. If you put 20% in, it automatically knows that mortgage insurance goes to zero, right? So now you can say, okay, your payment goes down to $1,826. Okay, well, what if I want to put 10% down? And you can put the dollar amount instead of, the percentage as well. So like if they're like, I just want to put $25,000 down, you could do that as well. But if they put 10%, well, now mortgage insurance goes back on and it already kind of calculates that for you. So there you go. You can see your payment would be $2,100 a month with 10% down. You can create all of these scenarios for them. And then you can say share results if you click those top 3 buttons in the top right and send that over to whoever you want to send it over to. So if I say share results, right, there we go. And I can just email it straight away to them and it gives them everything that they need. All right, so I use that very, very often. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. I think most of these apps that I'm actually talking about are free. I know Calendly, there is a upgrade for you to be able to add more events. You can get it for free with, I think, 1 event. But you may have to upgrade to put multiple events in there, like what I was telling you. I might have one for buyer consultation, listing consultation, 1 home showing tour, 5 home showing tour. If you're gonna have multiple events like that, you're gonna have to upgrade, but it's still only like $9 a month, I think. RPR should be free. TurboScan, I think TurboScan's like $4.99. It's not very expensive. All right, but now let's go ahead and jump over to the next one, which this goes right in line with what I was talking about in the beginning of the video, QuickBooks. I use QuickBooks on my phone all the time. This is basically how I'm able to do my bookkeeping so quickly, because if I'm just sitting, waiting for coffee, waiting for whatever it is that I'm waiting for, or my car or whatever, I'm just sitting in a waiting room, I can click over to QuickBooks and just start kind of categorizing a couple transactions that came up in the last few days. So that way, whenever the month rolls around and I wanted to kind of look at my month summary of my profit and loss statement or whatever, I don't have to do all the categorization for my different transactions. They're already pretty much done, because when I was sitting around throughout the month, I stayed up to speed with it. Plus, it gives you extra insight into your business at a glance. You can just pick up your phone and see it. And so right here, if I just click on QuickBooks, let's go ahead and do Face ID. There we go. So it pops up and it tells you your net profit and loss so far for the year, income versus expenses. If you go over to your transaction. So I just click that little bottom right 3 little hamburger, they call it like a hamburger menu icon. Click that, go to transactions. And you'll see here, I've got no new transactions because again, I keep up to this, pretty frequently. And so, you can have your credit cards, you can have your RBFCU accounts, all that kind of stuff, or banking accounts, right? Put all that in there. You can, of course, do all sorts of things in here. Put your mileage, all, different customers, sales receipts. I don't really touch any of that. The only thing that I do is really just code my transactions and look at my reports. And so when you come back here, view profit and loss, I can click that. I can see exactly where I stand for the month. So if I say view report, there we go. Boom, I've got all of my information here that I can kind of take a look at. So that is QuickBooks. Again, very essential program, I would say. If you're tracking your finances, highly recommend it. It's free app. Now, of course, you got to pay for a QuickBooks subscription. Most of them run, I don't know, anywhere from about $20 to $30 a month, all the way up to I think $60 or $70 a month. I do have a link below that it's one of my resources that if you want to sign up for QuickBooks, I would definitely recommend use my link. I believe you get like an extra month free, or you get some kind of a promo or a credit. And I think it actually credits me $20 or something like that as well. And so again, don't have to use it, but I've got that link there. I think everybody that uses QuickBooks gets a link that you can share with people that want to sign up for it. So that being said, let's go on to the next one, which is your CRM app. All right. So I, of course, can't list out every single CRM, but I highly recommend you make sure that whatever CRM system you choose, that you get a mobile app with it. I could not imagine using a CRM and not having a mobile app for it. That's just something that, yes, I'm by my computer often, but I'm by my phone more often, and not having the CRM on my phone would be a huge problem. That is where I tend to, do my notes and just looking back through kind of my transactions, or not transactions, but kind of the clients that I might want to possibly be working with that are in my pipeline. I'm looking at that on my phone most often, and that's where I'm making my phone calls from as well. Plus, at least with the one that I use, and again, I'll show you the one that I have, even though yours may be different, just to kind of give you an idea of what it can do. You can see here that I've got the kvCORE app on my phone desktop. Of course, I've got all of my contacts are in here, right? I can sort it by status, right? So I can look at closed, sphere, active leads, clients, under contracts, right? So if I'm not going to, have anybody fall through the cracks, okay? I've got all of the listings just like on the MLS here. So if I did want to just quickly send over a listing to somebody, I could do that. I could just click on, let's just say this one here. And again, this is my app specifically, so I'm not going to try and go into too much detail. But you can see there, I can click on that, post it to Facebook, post it to Twitter, Pinterest, all that good stuff. Oops, let me get rid of that. Create a squeeze page. I can send it via email, send it via text message. Super helpful as far as the kvCORE mobile app. The one thing that I don't use often, I probably should do this more often, is the dialer feature. You can create custom lists. And literally, like for instance, if I just wanted to call new leads from the last 90 days, I can click on the new leads feature here and say dial now, and it's going to go through all of my new leads and just start dialing them for me built into the app here on kvCORE app. So I don't know that a lot of CRMs are going to have that functionality. That's kind of, again, that would be above and beyond. I think it's a great feature. I wouldn't say that they have to have that, but it's a really cool feature that kvCORE has. And then of course your tasks, you want to make sure as you're clearing tasks, you can do it on your CRM app. So you can see that. The other cool thing about this is that, if I get a client that calls me, they may not be in my contacts, but if I've got them on here and it's linked, at least their name will show up as a maybe. I've noticed that too, which is very helpful. It'll have the phone number. It'll say maybe this person. So I kind of know, okay, well, maybe they're in my CRM system or whatever. So, all right. Let's go back to the slides. Let's go back to the next one. This next one we're going to talk about is 1Password. So I've used 1Password for, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years now. And, it just seems like whenever we're out getting, tons of technology and different things that we're signing up for, you're going to have so many different passwords, and you got to have some kind of a password manager. 1Password is just the best one for me. I like the fact that, of course, it's got, let me open it up here, put my password in before I share my screen here, so it's not sharing my password with everybody here. But give me one sec. Oop, give me one more sec. There we go. All right, so let's share the my screen here. You can see this is what 1Password looks like. You have all your items in there. I mean, literally 248 logins. There's no way I could have remembered that. But secure notes. So like if you've got a note that you don't want to just put it on your regular notepad, maybe it's like a certain date or a certain code or something like that that you need to remember. You can put that in there. Your credit cards, like all of your credit card information, you can put in there. Identities, which is like your home addresses and things like that, if you want to put identities in there. But anyways, so here we go. I got my logins. You can see all sorts of different logins there. Of course, don't have my password showing, but you can click and it has all of your different logins for all of your accounts. And it's obviously going to sync to your web version as well. So like if you have your computer at home and you have 1Password on your computer, all of the passwords are going to sync. So if you're going to sites when you're on your home computer, it's going to use your 1Password. And if you're using your phone, of course, it's going to use your 1Password as well. So all right, so let's go ahead and just jump into the next one. This is one of my favorite ones, although I don't know how necessary it is as a real estate agent. I think that it is, especially if you're starting to create content all the time and you want to take better photos and house photos, photos of you and your business or whatever it is that you're doing throughout the day. A lot of people, they actually think that I use my digital camera, my DSLR, the one that I'm actually filming these videos on all the time. But a lot of my pictures are actually just taken on my iPhone 11. And it's, using this app that I'm about to share with you on Lightroom. It's a completely different picture taking experience. And so if you're using the camera on your iPhone, it's a good camera. It's very good. Of course, Apple's invested tons of money and time into, making the best camera possible on a phone. But there's a huge difference between what they do and what I may want to do with regards to taking pictures and editing them. And so you'll see here that literally Lightroom, it sits right on my front home screen. But like even like, photos of my family, here you go, you can kind of see some of them. Like this stuff, that was taken with my iPhone. You'd think that it was professional, all these taken with my iPhone. And even my home photos, come out just as good. The reason why, and here's the big difference, is that Lightroom, you can actually take raw images, right? So when you're taking images, typically on your iPhone, it's taking JPEGs. And I couldn't even tell you what it stands for, but a JPEG is basically a compressed image. It's basically Apple saying, okay, here's your picture, based on what the lighting is, they automatically kind of put their spin on it, so to speak, to make it look like a good image. Well, that's great. It's going to have good image out of the camera, like if you don't want to tweak it or mess with it. But when you want to go in and start kind of fine tuning it, you're going to be limited as far as your options go because it's already been compressed and already been kind of altered when you took that photo through your normal Photos app. When you take it through the Lightroom app, it's going to shoot in RAW format, RAW. This means that it's uncompressed, messed with, and it basically allows you as the person to kind of, edit all of the different settings. And so, one of the things that I do is, I'll go in here, like here's a picture. It gives you all those settings at the bottom. I've got some presets kind of set up, and I can go in and just say like, for this one, I'm going to use my main kind of preset. I can go over here. I can kind of, just go back to auto to kind of make it maybe not so bright. Just do whatever I kind of want with the image. Color, you can kind of balance the white balance on it to make it look more natural as far as the colors go. So all sorts of different things that you can do. You can crop it for different types of things. So if I want to do 5:4 for like Instagram, if I want to do 16:9 for stories, you can do that. Of course, you can unlock it there to make it free. Do like that, then 9:16. So that would be like more like stories like that. All right. There you go. And then all you have to do at this point, once you have the image how you want it, press up in the top right and, there we go. And just say, you can export it to your camera roll, which is the normal roll that pictures show up in when you're taking pictures on your iPhone. Of course, you can export it directly to Facebook or Instagram. If you want to do that, it's going to render the photo. and then it'll allow you, there we go, to share it however you want to Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. But it basically allows you to kind of step your game up as far as picture taking, and you take the pictures directly from the app. So you can see there we go, right? Like I can take pictures just like that. And taking pictures is just as easy, like, as taking it with your iPhone. So you've got all your different lenses right here where it says like, sorry, it's vertical. I don't know how to change that on here, but you can see there, I'm just changing the different lens, that T, the wide angle, telephoto. There you go. So you can see how that works. I've got it on HDR. If I just go to automatic, then it'll allow me to do the ultra wide angle. There you go. HDR is basically high dynamic range. All that's saying is it's going to allow you to capture kind of more extremes, right? Like, so what I use this for is, like, for instance, if I'm shooting in a, let me get out of that. If I'm shooting in a home, then, and you're taking a picture, a lot of times you might take a picture of a house and the lighting for the inside of the house looks good, but anywhere that there's a window, it's way overexposed and blown out. I'm sure a lot of you have probably taken pictures like that. Well, with Lightroom, and you do high dynamic range, it's going to basically take the lowest exposure of those windows, so that way they're still properly exposed, and then take the highest exposure of the inside of the house, so that way it's well lit and looks well. It's going to stitch kind of them all together, all in the background, and give you that the best image. And so HDR is extremely important for doing real estate kind of photos. They look cool too when you're just doing regular old photos as well, but especially when you're taking real estate photos, it can come in handy to kind of give you the best image. And so, all right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one. And then we are wrapping up here soon. So the next one is Feedly. I don't know if you guys have heard of Feedly, but this is a cool one as far as getting your news. So this is where I hang out all the time, as far as like whenever I've got, free time, if I'm laying in bed or whatever, I'll open up Feedly. And this is where I've got all of the different news feeds that I subscribe to as far as what I like to read about: marketing, affiliate stuff, minimalism, photography, real estate, SEO, social media, Tesla. So I've got different categories. And then in each of those categories, I got different bloggers, people that I subscribe to, right? So for affiliate, I got Diggity Marketing, I got the Ad Espresso blog. I've got all sorts of different ones. See, photography, digital photography school, Lightroom Killer, real estate. Of course, I've got my blog on there, which if you want to go and subscribe to my blog on Feedly, when you go down to that little plus icon, all you got to do is type in kylehandy.com/feed/, right? And then when it comes up, you can see I'm already subscribed. That little checkbox would not be there. It would tell you if you wanted to subscribe, and give you a little plus sign. But since I'm already subscribed, you do that, and boom, now you got all of my different blog posts there. It'll notify you if you want whenever I post a new one. But all of your blogs that you like to read and subscribe to routinely, it makes it almost like reading a magazine, right? So when I come in here, and if I go to my Feedly feed, there we go. You can see there, it's just adding all of the different posts that I want from the different people that I subscribe to into this. And then I can just read the different posts as I go. So that's really cool. You can just search for content. So like just put topics, like if you just wanted to search for just real estate, you can see all the different real estate posts that you can subscribe to. You just hit the plus sign. If you wanted to, do something for photography, whatever it is, you put that all in there. And then the little magnifying glass on the bottom right there is for if you want to search through the different sources that you have. So for instance, like, if I wanted to search the people that I subscribe to for any articles talking about, let's just say, income. Let's see if my income thing comes up. All right, got it. Yep, got it. Cancel that. I don't need pro. I don't pay for anything on Feedly. Quickly search. Oh, you know what? I think they just make that now where you have to pay for it. Oh, that's why it's doing that. So they used to not do that, but I guess that's a way that you're making you pay. So you'd have to pay $8 a month to get that feature. I don't use that very often anyway, so it's not a big thing. But if you wanted to be able to search through your different sources for a particular keyword, it looks like now you'd have to get Power Search in order to be able to do that. I, for the most part, am just kind of keeping up with my feeds, and I just mark them as read once they're read. And you can even save them for later. So if there's something you read that you really like, or maybe you were halfway through and didn't get a chance to finish it, Like let me just say, this one, business is laziness. I click on that little bookmark up at the top left, top right, next to the AA, just like that. It'll bookmark it. I can go back to my bookmarks and read it for later there. So pretty cool. There's a dark mode, a light mode. Obviously, I put everything of mine on dark mode. That's just kind of what I like to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next one. I know we're running out of time here. We probably already ran out of time, but that seems to be my MO. I always go longer than what I probably should, but that's okay. Number 10 is Docusign. So we're going to talk about Docusign. If you guys don't use Docusign, I know, depending on the brokerage you're with, you might use, something else, Dotloop, or, maybe you're just using Zip Forms, whatever it is, it's fine. But I would definitely recommend that you get that app and make sure it's on your iPhone. And so, for instance, here's Docusign, and, I can go in there. The thing is, as far as Docusign goes, oops, I have to log in. Let's see, Docusign. All right, let's see if that logs me in. There we go. See, I love 1Password. It literally just uses your face to log you in, and then you got all your passwords, and then you just pick which one you want. But yeah, here you go. You got all your documents that you've ever needed signed. So again, if somebody's like, oh, I didn't get that document, you can come back in here and, well, these are all completed. But let's see. Yeah, here we go. You go in here and say, if you wanted to, you can usually resend it. That one, it looks like is waiting for one other. Yeah, here you go. You can remind them. There you go. So like, for instance, if I still need that person to sign, I'd say remind. It would send another email, right? Because sometimes it goes to spam or whatever. I'd say, oh, I just reminded you, go check your email again. And that way they can go and sign it. You can void documents from here. But most importantly, the part that I use it for is when I use that TurboScan feature and TurboScan it right into Docusign. And then it allows you to kind of place the signature wherever it is that you want. So for instance, like let's just say I wanted to go from my photos. Let's go ahead and grab, I don't know, let's just say it was this, right? I know this isn't this is just a blog post, right? But let's just say it was that. I'd say done. Okay, next. You can sign documents. That's the other important thing, is sometimes like I'll just sign documents on DocuSign so I can just quickly and forward it to whoever needs it, right? But then once you have it up, you just need to tap the screen wherever. So like, see, like let's say I needed to tap up, or I needed to sign something or initial something up by those that hamburger menu up there. I would just say that. I'd say initial. There we go. It pops my initials in there, and I can say finish. So really easy to do that. I like DocuSign for that reason. Decline to sign that. It's fine. And we'll close out and we'll move on to the last one. All right, guys. So number 11 is Zoom. I use Zoom all the time. I've got agents all over the country that I work with. And just, part of the job is, hey, I'm out and about, right? But if you want to meet with me face to face, let's meet on Zoom, because I can use my phone to Zoom. Can use my computer to Zoom. That's obviously where I use it most often. But having a Zoom app on your phone is extremely helpful, because I'm going to show you here that if I click on Zoom, let's go ahead and say sign in. All right, there we go. It's cool because you can schedule meetings straight from your phone. So like, for instance, if I wanted to schedule a meeting with somebody, I could just say, meeting with Mark. If I want it to be today at 8 o'clock, that's fine. It's going to be for an hour, and I can either use my personal meeting ID, which is what I do most often. Usually don't put a password on it. I would just say done. There we go. It's going to add it to my calendar. Let's say add. And now I got meeting with Mark on here, that I can actually send him the meeting ID, right? That 449-680-1262. That'll send that over to Mark. And so anyways, if I go over to, here we go to meetings, and I say meeting ID, add invitees. There we go. So copy to clipboard. And then now I could just go over here and text Mark. Just say it's Mark Trias, paste. There we go. So I'd send him, and he'd have all of the details that I would need for that meeting. all from my phone. So that's if I wanted to schedule it. But a lot of times, people are scheduling meetings with me. And the great thing there is, again, it'll show up as far as my meetings, and I can start them from the go and just hold them right in front of me, and do a meeting, a Zoom meeting from my phone. I can share my screen of my phone with somebody. So again, if I needed to clarify something or show something, even if I'm out in the field, I can still do that. And so it's helpful to do that. It's actually saved me a few times with clients or whatever, right? Like maybe I'm, walking a property and I need to share something with them and they're out of state or something. Or, maybe it's something that I wanted to share payment calculations with them. I can do that, or comps with them. I've done that before where I actually, pull up RPR. I'm sharing my screen the whole time, showing the comps on my phone with them as they're watching from their computer or wherever they're at. So it saved me more than enough times to where it's made the list, because I think that Zoom is, again, it's only growing in its popularity. It's more and more common now that when I ask people, hey, have you ever Zoomed before? They're like, oh yeah, I've done that. And so some people, you still got to explain how it works to them. And you may not want to just have that be your last ditch effort as far as like, you want to make sure that they've probably used it or experienced it before you're like using it in the field and trying to show things to them. But if they're familiar with it, of course, you're familiar with it, it makes communicating so much easier. So anyways, guys, that pretty much sums it up. Those are the 11 apps that I use as a realtor pretty much every single day. They are the best apps in 2020, but I want to hear what apps you guys are liking and what you guys are recommending to other people. Maybe I missed some, right? Everybody's kind of got that one little app that just completely changes the game for them. And I'd love to hear what app that is for you guys. So make sure to put it in the comments. That way, heck, maybe I can add a few to my list, and I'll be coming up with a new list in a few months. You just never know. So, but that being said, again, if you watched it all the way to this end, I always like to say you are part of that 1% crew. Make sure to put in the comments if you have an app, but also put in there if you're part of that 1% crew and you made this all the way to the end. Hit that like bell or that like icon. Because again, that helps the YouTube algorithm to show this video, get this out in front of more people. That's one way that you can certainly help kind of contribute to everything that we're doing here. So really appreciate you. If there's anything I can ever do or any videos that I can ever make for you, hit me up, send me a message, send me an email, kyle@thehandyteam.com. But guys, I'm super excited to help. And I hope business is going well. I hope 2020 is starting well for you. And I will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.